Hello everybody, December 20th, 2021. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin action today. So majority of the day was spent just kind of grinding downwards until we hit this green support box, which I drew last night. During all of this chop, I said, you know what, I've got no idea. If it goes up, it's going to go into this red box and come down. If it goes down, it could go into this green box and then go up. So I laid out those two supports. This red box is irrelevant now because it chose to go down first. But you can see it did respect the top of that support zone. Kind of surprised it didn't go deeper into that, but is what it is. And I believe if we are going to continue upwards from here, which it looks like we may, then this is now the appropriate label for it. And if we do end up breaking over this 51.9 high, we're likely on our way to make a third wave in a diagonal. And so we would have the first wave, second wave, and then right now we're starting off third, which would end up looking something along these lines: ABC up, like this, make a diagonal, ABC down, ABC up. So if it does in fact play out like that, I don't know what the actual end target's going to be, but maybe somewhere in the 60s. And then we'll have a deep pullback again after that, and we can end up right back about where we are right now in the low 50Ks or high 48Ks. So again, I'm not feeling any FOMO here. I'm just kind of waiting it out to see how it actually plays out, because that's really the only bullish scenario that we have from here. So let me clean some of this up. We're going to get rid of that fib. As far as traditional technical analysis goes, we do have now what's considered a confirmed double bottom because we broke the neckline being right about here at 48K. So if this is going to continue to play out, it should hit just about here at a minimum, which is 50.7. That's going to be the target for the double bottom, somewhere in that region there, maybe a little higher, 50, let's just call it 50.5 to 51, somewhere in that region is the target for the double bottom. So if it does do that, which, as a confirmed double bottom it should, then we should see obviously a breakout of both of these diagonal downtrends as well. We've got the first one here that's sort of being challenged as we speak. The second one coming down is from a bit higher up and isn't a pretty trend line because we kind of had this false breakout here. So maybe it's more like that is more realistic there, but in any case it should take us up just about to that trend line and probably through the trend line depending on when it gets there. If it does break through that trend line, of course that makes it all the more likely that we will continue upwards to make that third wave. But 51.9 is really the line in the sand that needs to get broken before I would truly anticipate that to be forming. All right, so let me just put a line, we'll put a line there. Okay, that's kind of our double bottom target. Make it yellow. All right, let's see what else. So none of this action at the moment is productive. We still haven't broken 51.9. This is still just chop. I said if we bounce here, it's very possible that we still just continue to get sideways. And the best case scenario, regardless of what it's doing right now, the best case scenario for the bulls is to break this low. We need to see a flush of that low in order to get a high quality pattern off of this bottom here, right? Because we have failed to make an impulse, and so the best case scenario is a leading diagonal, which is not a great scenario. I've discussed that before. It really is not a strong trading cue. It's not a strong signal that bullishness is going to continue. So I really want to see this low get broken, and I don't know. If it doesn't, if we actually fully fill out 1, 2, a third in a diagonal, fourth in a diagonal, and a fifth in a diagonal. If we actually fill this out, it could still dump down. I mean, diagonals are pretty unreliable, so it could still break that low, but it could also just pull back, kind of deeply into this mid 40 to 50K area, like I said, and then proceed upwards. I mean, it can be a bullish Q if it actually does all 5 waves, but it's definitely not bullish until it does it. So for now, we'll leave this as the second wave here, potentially in the larger scheme of things. And potentially we're looking at 1, 2. Now that we have what should be a bottom in place here, I can draw a fib extension from here to here. That's 1, that's 2, and we're looking at the orange fib. So if we're going to see a third wave, typically we would see that should go at least minimum, the 1.0 extension was 56.2 would be the minimum expectation, and potentially up to like 60.8. Anywhere in here is probably the end result for a third wave, if in fact it's going to do it. I'm still not convinced, but if we get this, that's what we're looking at, right? And once we get this and this in place, then we'll have a better target for that as well. And then once we have that, we will be able to draw a parallel channel. That'll be 1 wherever 3 goes, and then 2's down here. So we'll have a diagonal within a diagonal, which once again is not ideal. I would prefer not to see that, but if it happens, we'll deal with it, and we'll be able to trade based on that. So if we do in fact fill this out, then we can look for the pullback and potentially buy in this region just for a scalp up in the 5th wave, wherever that ends up hitting. And then I would get out because I would expect to dump down again from there, and then we would rebuy in this range and potentially ride it up from there, unless obviously it breaks down below that low, in which case we're looking at the 30K range again. So yeah, like I said, not thrilled about any of this action right now. As far as the long term goes, this is not productive whatsoever for our long term goals on Bitcoin. And I'm still kind of just hoping that this dies. I mean, double bottom, we could certainly just see this pump up here, and that's actually within that downtrend, and then get rejected and go down. I'd love to see that. So once again, not really doing anything until we get above 51.9. Each of these levels is kind of like a slightly more convincing warning sign, like, oh, okay, we made a new high here. All right, great. If we get above this, oh, okay, all right, we actually made a new high there. If we get above this one, even more convincing, to be honest. So if you want to be even tighter with it, 50.9 is probably a good level to look at. But again, like I said, really this is just the key here, the 51.9. So I'm gonna look down. I don't see any way that this can be going impulsive, and so far we don't have enough action to have an ABC, so I can't even draw like a fib extension on the really short term to tell us where we're going to go. When this starts doing a larger pullback, I may be able to see if we get another little ABC up. I can keep drawing these resistance and support boxes as we go in those ABCs, but until we get a decent pullback, at this point we're just waiting for it to top out in a temporary fashion at least. But I do think my expectation in the short term is that we continue upwards at least a little bit. Maybe we get up here into the 50s again for that double bottom target, and then we'll see what happens from there. So I'm not jumping back into my positions on Bitcoin. I'm not convinced, and that's pretty much the end of it until the price action proves otherwise. All right, everybody, good night, and I will see you tomorrow.